Should you run to or run away from Run Rabbit Run? Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Your Pass. Today I'm going to talk to you about Run Rabbit Run, which premiered at Sundance 2023 on the midnight stage on January 20th, 2023. It is an atmospheric, slow-build horror film that is just so well done. It is very, very unsettling, and it deals with the horror of having children. It deals with kind of some child quirks and also grief and kind of stigmas involving motherhood. It is a very, very well done film. And my hot take is, look, I think this is ultimately a rental, but I'm kind of between a rent and a watch. I think I'm leaning rent, but this is definitely a film that you won't be disappointed if you do see. It does so many things right. All the elements are really, really well done. It has a nice slow buildup. The only things I didn't really love is it's kind of a predictable ending, but the overall journey is very satisfying. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the film, a few things I liked and a few things I didn't like. I'm not going to really go into spoilers because the film just premiered at Sundance. There aren't going to be a ton of people that have seen it, so I don't want to spoil too much, but definitely check it out if you have a chance. It is, I assume it'll run the festival circuit and then probably end up on Shudder. This feels like a Shudder film. So in Run Rabbit Run, you have Sarah, who is a fertility doctor, but who is also dealing with some personal struggles. Her mother is kind of in a care home and is kind of not doing well with her health. She recently lost her father, and her daughter Mia is starting to exhibit some erratic behavior. And all of this kind of comes together and boils over due to things in Sarah's past that she has not really examined and kind of Mia's connection to those. And so, things I liked about this movie. The first, and this is something that hits you right from the start and kind of stays the whole time. The music is so well done. It is foreboding. The film is set in Australia, and so it has some like elements of, I think, Australian music, like some of the musical instruments that you would normally hear, but they're kind of melded in with kind of more traditional classical music that just gives this great sense of dread throughout. It has this really kind of heavy soundtrack that comes in and fits the tone and mood of this film perfectly. It just really amplifies the entire experience. The second thing I really loved is the setting. Like I said, it's set in in Australia, so you have this just beautiful natural setting that also has elements of dread as well. You have these beautiful kind of scenes, but a definite sense of kind of isolation, especially in the later parts of the film. A lot of the film takes place in more rural areas, so you have a more rural setting that is both beautiful and foreboding. The third thing I really liked is the mystery and the slow burn. Like, the film doesn't tell you a lot from the start, and that will also kind of tie in with something I didn't love as much. But what I do like is that the film kind of trusts the viewer and forces the viewer to follow along on the way. You don't get kind of like explicit exposition of things that happen for the most part. You kind of have to connect the dots yourself, which does make for sometimes a little bit more frustrating experience, but I do like films that do this, that kind of trust the viewer and don't kind of hold your hand as you're going through. And the film does build slowly and just gradually ratchets up the chaos and kind of the uncertainty that's happening in Sarah's personal life. And I really did like that aspect as well. And the last thing I really loved is the use of light. The film uses light to enhance the dread that is kind of permeating this film. And especially because a lot of it is set in a more rural environment, you get some very dark scenes, especially at night when Sarah and Mia are kind of dealing with different things. You get some really nice dark settings, but even during the day, the film does a really good job of using shade and shadows to impose dread, even like when it is sunny outside. The film just really plays around with the light and dark aspects, and has some scenes where, you know, things will surprise you because they appear in the dark and you can't see them at first, or they'll slowly start to appear. And overall, the film just kind of drips with this tension and unease that is a really nice thing to behold. Now, that's a lot of things I liked about it, right? Things I didn't like as much. The story is a little predictable. I mean, I kind of knew roughly what was going to happen about halfway through. Like, I kind of had a general idea of what was going on. I knew what the main revelation was going to be. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it, but it did kind of lose some of the luster when I was like, okay, so this is probably what's going to happen. All right, let's keep going. Like I said, though, the film overall is a very well done film, and it is an enjoyable experience. It just didn't have the same impact for me than if maybe it would have been like a bigger surprise or something that was more kind of shocking. And the second thing I didn't love as much, you know, I said I liked the fact that the film doesn't tell you much, but the flip side of that is it was kind of tough to follow the story on the first watch. Even some of the characters, I didn't really fully know who they were until maybe about a third of the way in. That partly could be, there was an accent here, so some of the names I couldn't really catch and things like that. But definitely on the second watch through, I got more out of it because I knew who the characters were, I knew what their relationships were, and I was able to kind of follow along with the story and the things that were happening much, much easier. The fact that it was tough to kind of follow the story on the first watch did kind of hamper my enjoyment a little bit. So overall, I think this is ultimately a rental, but it's kind of on the border of a rent and watch. If you see it, you will not be disappointed, especially if you're a horror fan. If you like the horror genre, this is definitely something that is interesting and should be an exciting watch. So that is Run Rabbit Run. Like I said, it premiered on the midnight stage at Sundance on January 20th, 2023. I imagine it'll run the festival circuit, show up in a couple other festivals, and then probably end up on Shudder, probably go to theaters, and then maybe end up on Shudder. This definitely feels like a film that will come to Shudder. So check it out when you can. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.